It is 3 in the morning, and a loud thump goes off in your living room like someone dropped a textbook, then another. Then the rattle of your rabbit flinging itself around its pen. You lie there half asleep, worried about the rabbit, and also worried that the neighbors below can hear all of this through the floor. Living with a rabbit in an HDB flat means living close to your neighbors, so the noise question is real. Let us sort out what your rabbit is actually doing and how to keep the peace. I'm a rabbit owner here in Singapore, not a vet. I keep my rabbit in a small flat, same walls and same floors as you. And I read the local groups so you do not have to. Night noise comes up a lot, partly because new owners do not know what the sounds mean, and partly because we all share walls here. So let me walk you through thumping, the night zoomies, the cage banging, and what to do about each. Start with the thump, because it is the one that worries people most. A thump is when a rabbit slams a back foot, or both, hard against the ground. It is loud and deliberate. In the wild, thumping is an alarm signal. One rabbit thumps to warn the whole warren that danger is near. So when your rabbit thumps, it is usually telling you it is startled, scared, annoyed, or has heard or smelled something it does not like. A single thump at a sudden noise is normal. What you are reading is the rabbit being a rabbit. So what sets off thumping in a flat at night? All sorts of things you might not notice. A cat yowling outside, a door slamming upstairs, thunder, a lizard on the wall, footsteps in the corridor, even your own movement in bed. Rabbits have far better hearing than we do, and they are most alert at dawn and dusk, so the night is prime thumping time. Some rabbits also thump out of pure displeasure. You took away a treat, you put it back in its pen. You would not let it into the bedroom. That is a grumpy thump, more attitude than alarm. How do you reduce it? First, figure out the trigger if you can. If your rabbit thumps at the same time every night, something is probably happening at that time, and you can sometimes remove or muffle it. Second, give the rabbit a secure hideout, a covered box or tunnel it can dive into. A rabbit that feels it has somewhere safe to retreat thumps less, because it has an alternative to raising the alarm. Third, do not reward attention thumping. If your rabbit thumps and you immediately rush over fussing, a smart rabbit learns that thumping summons you, and it will do it more. Acknowledge it is fine, but do not turn every thump into a party. Now the night zoomies and the cage banging, which are a different thing entirely. Rabbits are crepuscular, most active at dawn and dusk, and many extend that into the night. So around the small hours your rabbit may get a burst of energy, tear around, toss its toys, fling its food bowl, and rattle the bars of its pen. This is not distress. It is a healthy rabbit with energy to burn at the exact time you want to sleep. The banging is often boredom, the rabbit saying, "I am awake and there is nothing to do, let me out." The fix is not to suppress the energy but to give it somewhere to go. So here is the practical plan for night noise. 1. Tire the rabbit out in the evening. A good long run and play session before you sleep means a calmer rabbit overnight. 2. Leave it interesting things to do at night. Chew toys, a hay-filled tube, a dig box, so the energy goes into toys instead of banging the bars. 3. Fix the banging hardware. Metal bowls that get flung and clang are a classic culprit. Swap them for a heavy ceramic bowl or a bowl that clips on, and the racket drops a lot. 4. Position the pen away from the bedroom wall and away from the shared wall or the floor above the neighbor, so the sound that does happen carries less. Miriam is specific about the neighbors, because this is the HDB reality. Our walls and floors are thin, and there are quiet hours that neighbors expect respected, late night and early morning. A rabbit itself is a quiet pet. It does not bark or meow, so most of the time you have nothing to worry about. The noise that travels is the impact noise, the thumping and the cage banging, hitting a hard floor and transmitting down. So the answer is to soften and isolate that. Put a mat, a rug or foam tiles under the pen so thumps and banging do not ring straight through the floor slab. That one change does more for your downstairs neighbors than anything else. A few more flat-friendly tweaks, heavy stable bowls and water bottles that cannot be flung, toys made of cardboard and natural fiber rather than hard plastic that clatters, and a pen base that is solid and quiet rather than a thin rattly tray. You are basically dampening every hard surface the rabbit can bang. And if your rabbit is a cereal bar chewer at night, that metallic gnawing sound, the cure is usually more chew toys and more evening exercise, because bar chewing is boredom and sometimes a bid for freedom. Think about your routine too. Rabbits love predictability. If your rabbit knows it gets a good run and fresh hay every evening at a set time, it settles better afterward. An erratic schedule, sometimes a long run, sometimes nothing, leaves a restless rabbit that acts up at night. So a consistent evening wind down, exercise, then hay, then quiet, genuinely helps everyone sleep, including the people downstairs. Let me talk about a specific noise that drives owners up the wall: the food bowl and water bottle racket. A lot of the metallic clanging at 3 in the morning is not the rabbit being upset. It is the rabbit playing with or demanding access to a metal bowl, flipping it, pushing it around the floor, or banging the spout of a water bottle. The fix is mostly hardware. Swap a light metal bowl for a heavy ceramic one that the rabbit cannot fling, or one that clips firmly to the pen. If a hanging water bottle rattles against the bars, secure it tightly or switch to a heavy bowl of water instead. These tiny changes can take a flat from a clanging nightmare to genuinely quiet, and they cost almost nothing. Another big one is where the pen sits in your flat. Think about the geometry of an HDB unit. You do not want the pen pressed against the wall you share with a neighbor, or right above the bedroom of the unit below, because impact noise travels straight through concrete. So position the pen toward the middle of a room if you can, on an internal wall rather than a party wall, and away from the points where sound carries most. Combine that with a mat underneath, and you have dealt with most of the noise that would ever reach another household. The rabbit can thump its little heart out and almost none of it leaves your flat. Let me also reassure you about the bigger picture with neighbors, because new owners sometimes work themselves into a panic. A rabbit is genuinely one of the quietest pets you can keep in close quarters. It does not bark, it does not howl, it does not meow at the door. Compared to a dog that barks when you are out, a rabbit is a dream neighbors. The only sounds that travel are occasional impact noises, the thump and the cage banging, and those are exactly the ones we have just dealt with mats, hardware swaps, and pen placement. So unless your box has been neglected to the point of smelling, the chances of a rabbit ever generating a neighbor complaint are very low. Do the basics and you can relax about it. It helps to understand that you cannot and should not try to flip a rabbit onto a human sleep schedule. The dawn and dusk energy is hardwired. It is who the rabbit is, and a healthy rabbit will always have a burst of life in the early hours and the early evening. So the goal is never to make the rabbit quiet at those times by force. It is to make the noise it does make harmless to you and the neighbors, soft surfaces, heavy bowls, smart pen placement, and plenty for it to do. Work with the rhythm. Do not fight it. One more practical idea. Give the rabbit a covered, cozy sleeping nook. A hideout with a roof, a box or a covered bed. Gives the rabbit a den to settle into at night. Rabbits feel safer enclosed, and a rabbit that has burrowed into its little nook is calmer and less likely to be alarmed by every small sound, which means fewer alarm thumps. It also gently signals that this is the resting spot. It will not stop the natural dawn and dusk energy, nothing will, but it does help an anxious thumper feel more secure overnight. Now the part I never skip, the health angle, because not all night activity is just energy. Occasional thumping and the odd burst of zoomies are normal, but a rabbit that is thumping almost constantly or seems genuinely frightened and distressed, hunched, not eating, hiding and panicking is telling you something is wrong, and that is not a noise problem to solve with a rug. A rabbit in pain or unwell can become restless, agitated, or unusually noisy at night too. So if the night behavior comes with a rabbit that is off its food, not pooping normally, or clearly distressed rather than just lively, that is a reason to see a rabbit-savvy vet rather than to assume it is mischief. So to bring it together, a thump is an alarm or a grumble, normal in small doses, reduced by removing triggers, giving a hideout, and not rewarding it. Night zoomies and cage banging are healthy energy at the rabbit's natural hour, managed by tiring it out in the evening, leaving it toys, and swapping flung metal bowls for heavy ones. For the neighbors, the key is dampening impact noise, a mat or rug under the pen, soft toys, position away from shared walls, and keep a predictable evening routine so your rabbit settles. Do that, and the rabbit is one of the quietest pets you can keep in a flat. I am a fellow owner, not a vet, so if the night noise comes with a rabbit that seems unwell, off its food, distressed, or thumping relentlessly, the move is a rabbit-savvy vet rather than a guess. Not every clinic here sees rabbits with confidence, which is why we keep a directory of rabbit-friendly vets in Singapore on singaporerabbit.com, with plain, dated local advice for our flats and our heat. We also send a free weekly digest for Singapore rabbit owners, so come join us there. Next time I want to walk through Transport Day, actually bringing a new rabbit home through Singapore traffic and heat without stressing it out. If you are figuring out rabbit life in Singapore, subscribe so you do not miss it, and I will see you in the next one.